What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters, Timothy Hayden, Crimson Reaper, Little Blondie, Cletus the Redneck, Benjamin Jennings, Dennis Taylor, Lucius, Brad Jam, Casey McCullum, James Moyner, Brittany Whirling, Hunter Tober McGivern, Breezy B, Ashley Short, Saren G. Tiso, Andrew Fisher, Ryan Parr, Tatakai, Noah Strife, Trevor Boyle, and John Britt. Thank you all very much for your support. And also another big time shout out to our executive producer, the Anime Hybrid. If you want to support us on Patreon, feel free to click the link down below, and we'll see you there. Take care.
Hello again, everyone. We are here on the couch taking over for Nate while he's under the weather right now. And Chad brought up the idea of checking out some Reddit readings, which a lot of the times are pretty decent stuff in my opinion. So,
dude, there's crazy stuff on Reddit. There's crazy stories. I mean, we reacted to Nate and I believe. I don't think you were there when we reacted to Mini Lad's Reddit stuff, and like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. A large majority of the stuff that is on Reddit, I don't believe it. I accept it for the entertainment that it is. I accept it for the possible fan fiction that it is. But it's also like conspiracy theories for me. For every like 10 or 15 of them that are BS, there's one equally as crazy that's true.
Probably true, yeah. Yeah, anytime I'm reading like the scariest thing that happened to me type stuff, I'm just like, did that really happen? Because I feel like that would have been on the news. Like, I don't believe you.
Or
really.
Just any this crazy thing happened to me. You know, like a lot of that is probably like maybe.
Well, like you said, still entertaining to read through. So,
and you can't say for sure that it's BS. You never know. It could be the real deal. And you know, do you really want to be that guy that's like, that's not true, and then you're eating crow?
Right. I mean, I'll just go at it with like a take everything you see on Reddit with a grain of salt type deal.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think something's true and it's going to have any impact on your life, do some research before you go around telling it to everybody else.
Yeah.
Much like these, since they're on Reddit, I don't know if we should take them 100% seriously or if we should take them with a grain of salt. But I'm going to take them with a grain of salt for the first viewing, and then I might look some of these up depending on how they sound. Like,
if it sounds like
if I
something
didn't know
cool.
them or not. But we got people sharing life-saving tips on Reddit. And the thumbnail said like stuff that could save your life one day. So you never know. Like, I mean, we're all worried about our lives right now, stuck indoors because of a stupid virus. Whenever we get to go back outside,
because I need that toilet paper. The toilet paper famine of 2020.
Freaking toilet paper.
My butthole.
So yeah, let's see what kind of life-saving tips the people of Reddit have to offer us.
Let's get it on.
If you've been buried alive, pull your shirt over your head. You don't want to be swallowing dirt. What knowledge might save your life one day? Don't ever stop performing CPR on a person until the EMTs take their body away.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
CPR doesn't wake up a person. It's to force blood to their brain to prevent brain death so that the EMTs can revive the person.
Damn.
Polar bears have insane ADHD. If one is chasing you, intermittently drop clothing items like a hat or gloves. It will stop to sniff them. Normal prey animals don't shed whole pieces of themselves. The bear will be perplexed.
Wow.
It makes sense, but I don't know if it's true.
Say, where the problem is first, followed by the problem. If you happen to get cut off before you can say what the problem is, at least the dispatcher has a location to send an officer to check it out and advise if more police or fire is needed.
Damn.
Example. Operator, where is your emergency? You, help, I am being stabbed, disconnect. Versus,
damn.
Can't help you.
Operator, where is your emergency? You, 742 Evergreen Terrace, help, I am disconnect.
Yeah, they'll send somebody
location,
there.
Location.
Even if they didn't hear what it was, they'll have to.
If
damn.
someone
That makes
threatens you with
sense.
a gun or something and they want to move you to another location, your chance of dying goes up considerably if you agree to relocate. My father was an assistant DA who worked with homicide. He gave me this advice over and over. Years later, someone climbed in my car and threatens me with a gun. Told me to drive. And I said no. I took the keys out and threw them. It wasn't a conscious decision. My dad had just hammered his advice. Never get taken to another location.
Like,
So hard
is this real? You
the guy
know,
gets out without seeing
that's
the
where I
warning
go
runs.
with this kind of
What
stuff.
I did was very stupid. While you should never
not
allow
on board.
yourself to be
All right. I feel like this is a gamble. Like, depending on who the fuck is holding you up. If the person holding you up is not intending to kill anyone that day, and you huck the keys out the window, then yeah, there's probably a good chance that they're just gonna like let you go. But if they're fucking insane,
And they're
like,
just gonna go
they don't
cap.
give a shit about
Yeah.
your life, and you do that, and you inconvenience them, there's a good chance they're just gonna be like, "Fuck you," and just put a bullet in the back of your head, like.
Because their shit was over that day anyway,
Dude,
or soon, you know.
The thing I've always heard is anyone armed with a gun, you need to follow their directions 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they're going to use a gun to get you to move somewhere else, they're going to be taking you hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely. Unless they're just like a serial killer or a rapist. Like, most likely they're relocating you because they're planning to take you hostage.
Dude,
or
I don't
something like
know.
that. So,
I think
mean,
this is a who knows? If they're that crazy,
it's a fucking
who knows,
gamble,
man?
Like, it...
Who knows, dude?
Well, what I've always heard is somebody with a gun, you should do what they say, basically, because that's the only way to really reduce the chances of you taking a bullet.
Man, I just like who know until you're in that moment, who knows what's about to happen? And same for the person getting you.
They did at least say what I did was very stupid. While you should never allow yourself to be relocated, aggravating an armed assailant rarely goes well. So
Jesus, dude. Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Very risky move. Okay. So, anyways,
Located. Aggravating an armed assailant rarely goes well.
Yeah.
Throwing my keys was a very risky move. My dad also taught me to hand over valuables first. I was
Yeah.
very lucky the guy didn't kill me. Criminals who commit reckless crimes like this are rarely rational, and many end up in jail over shooting someone over nothing. They don't always act in their own self-interests. Drugs are also often involved.
Yeah.
I should have handed over my wallet and keys, not throw them, and then try to escape. After telling my dad what happened, he was angrier than I've ever seen him, because he's seen people get killed for being dumb like throwing keys. Never agree to be taken to another location, and never try to agitate your attacker. Give him your wallet and keys, and refuse to go along. Firefighter training.
honestly, my
If there
first
is a fire, crawl
response
out
to
of a
someone
building.
gets in my backseat
Do
with
not
a
stand
gun,
up to run. One or
probably
two
going to be to
breaths
hop
of
the
smoke are
fuck out
enough
the
to
door
do
and run as
major
fast as I
damage
can.
and
Hope they
require
can't hit me while
hospitalization
I'm
if you
moving
get
quick.
out
They
at
don't
all.
expect me to run.
It may be warm where you are crawling, but standing up can
So I'll
cook
leave
your
with my
skin
keys.
and your lungs. The
Maybe they'll
smoke
just
at
take
eye
my
level
car.
can be more than 600 degrees Celsius, 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can't see and don't know the room layout, crawl with your feet and legs in front of you, sliding on your butt. Do not crawl face first, or you may take a dive down a staircase in the confusion.
See, I didn't know about that
If you
part,
can't
but
do
I
a
did know
pull-up,
you're
you
supposed to
probably
get
won't
as
have
low
the
as
strength to
possible
pull
in a
yourself
fire.
up off a ledge.
The smoke rises
The
towards
instinct
the
of wolves will only
top of the
cause them
room
to
so you
attack
can
or
breathe a
hunt you
little
if they
better
can
and down
intimidate
lower.
you into fleeing from them. Standing your ground against a wolf pack will be terrifying, but will eventually cause them to bugger off. Tigers as well. Don't turn your eyes away from a tiger. There is a story of a boy that had to walk backwards for 3 hours back to his village being stalked by a tiger. The cost benefit of a prey animal even slightly hurting a tiger is not worth it.
Hope
It
that
could
kid
mean a
wore his
death
brown
sentence
pants.
in the wild. That water you're about to dive into might not be as deep as you think. Always just step in and swim down to check for depth. Then jump. My dad told me a story about a group of guys he knew from school. After graduation they all went up to someone's lake house and one guy decided to dive off the dock as soon as they got there. The water was shallow that year and when he dove in he broke his neck and died on impact.
Oh my
man.
God, dude.
If someone is trying to abduct you, fight back. Most abductors will just give up if they meet resistance. And whatever you do, don't let them take you to another location.
Damn,
This
that's
works with
again,
most
they're coming
animals
at us
too.
with that.
Always fight back and be crazier and they often will leave you alone. A lot of animals like sharks or hawks, if you look them dead
Again,
in the
though,
eye
it
and show
depends
them,
on the-
they
I
will
think
go
they're
away.
talking like, a non-armed abductor. Like if someone's just trying to like, especially like I've heard like women, like if someone is just like trying to grab you and just like basically like, strong arm you somewhere, like claw them, scratch them, like rip their hair out, and kick them in the dick, like.
I mean, do what you got to do to protect yourself.
If they have a knife, even like getting stabbed is not going to be fun, but at least it's a better idea to try to like grab their arm and get the knife out of their hand or something than like let them take you somewhere for sure, in my opinion.
Brother, getting stabbed is not, I'm not trying to get stabbed, dude.
I'm not trying to get stabbed either, but I'm also not trying to get human trafficked.
You just got to know when to bolt.
I guess so.
Yeah, I'm not trying to bolt with the knife on my body.
Anybody with a gun's obviously a different situation, though, because with
That's
a gun,
such
it only takes a split second for you to not have any other recourse but to stop breathing. So.
Yeah, hit the ground.
Yeah, so not be here no longer.
Mm-hmm.
I hike in an area with lots of hawks, and when they circle me, I just look straight at them and they fly away. If the tide suddenly goes...
Wait, what was that?
Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
Sharks or hawks? How often
A lot
do
of
people
animals
get
like
attacked
sharks.
by hawks? I've never heard of a person getting attacked by a hawk before. Like, well, I mean, I've heard of people probably getting attacked by a hawk, like, you know, like zookeepers, like people like get clawed or scratched by a hawk. Like, how often does a hawk just attack you in the wild?
For some reason, that made me think of Borat. I follow the hawk.
It's like Far Cry. Like, does this guy play too much?
Just so
Far Cry?
random.
Like, yeah, like the eagles and shit in Far Cry
Yeah.
like attack you, but it's like
If
there's
you're
a
up on a
mod
roof or
to take
something.
that out of Far Cry 4 because of how dumb that is.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
I don't know. That's just I had to
It
double
randomly
take that
just-
'cause I was like, hawks? Are you serious? Obviously, sharks can go fuck off. Like
You're terrified of sharks, aren't you?
Circle me, I just look straight at them and they fly away.
Look at
If
the
tide
sharks and they'll
suddenly
fly
goes out
away.
unexpectedly, run like you stole it, for higher ground. I read about a 10-year-old English girl who had just learned this before going on vacation with her family to Thailand. Then the big
Tsunami.
tsunami that killed a few 100,000 came.
Yep.
She saw the water retreat and the other tourists walk out on the exposed seafloor. She freaked out, and convinced everybody to run for higher ground. A lot of people were saved by a little girl who had paid attention in school. They later brought a lot of flowers to the teacher.
Wow.
If you are ever bitten by a bat, raccoon, fox, skunk, stray cat or even a dog, go directly to the hospital. There is no cure for rabies once it is fully onset.
It's a fact.
Hey, you gotta go get a rabies
If you're
shot.
ever charged by a moose, get behind a tree. They have about a 10-inch blind spot and they'll lose you.
Huh.
That's what ski patrol would
Wonder if
always
that's
say
true.
when there were an increase in moose sightings on the mountain. They'd tell you to stay out of the trees when skiing. Unless a moose is running at you, then find trees, because unless you've got a steep hill or are already up to speed, the moose is probably faster than you think.
I mean, if you could find two trees close enough together and go between the trees,
Be like, ha, ha, ha.
the moose is gonna be like, ugh, like trying to chase you. You know? You'd have to stop and turn his head to the side and get through.
Those are some big bastards, man.
Yeah, they're pretty fucking freaky to see. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen a video of like one walking across the street in Canada, and it's like, dude, the thing's bigger than two cars.
It's a
like,
tank.
it's like the size of two cars. Like, there's a car next to it. It's like twice the size of that car. Like, Jesus Christ, that's a big fucker.
They're big.
People say to take an aspirin to help during a heart attack. Chew the pill. Don't
Yeah, I
swallow
heard
the
that
whole.
recently, too.
It gets absorbed much quicker. If a person asks you for something in the street, a light, the time, whatever, always keep the person in your eye line. So if they ask for the time, don't just look down at your watch. Raise your arm slightly so your watch is in sight. I was told this years ago at a self-defense thing at a corporate retreat type of event, and I wondered if it was ever going to be useful or just something to pad out the teacher's session. Then, a decade later, I was on the street late at night on my way home, and someone approached me and asked for the time. I did this, told him the time, and he just kinda stood there. Then he started asking some weird, clearly improvised, question about how he was looking for his friend's house, and he was sure it was on that street, and he had a yellow car similar to the one behind me. I didn't look back but just said, yeah, yellow, and he pointed directly behind me. I said, yeah, the yellow car, I saw it as I walked by, so? He paused for a second, looking like that meme of the woman with the equations around her head, then just yelled, oh, F you, and stormed off. It was only afterwards I realized that I think he wanted me to look away so he could slug me, but he wasn't prepared to attack someone that was looking right at him.
What a pansy.
Always leave your itinerary with someone. If you meet strangers.
I mean, it's a pansy to start with for being a fucking like robber or whatever.
Oh,
he was planning
yeah.
to do, but like even more so that he couldn't fucking do it to anyone's face. Like,
Yeah.
get the fuck on, man.
Craziness.
Or potential
Get up the
people
balls to
on the
rob
road.
somebody, but
Always
only if
let
you
them
get to
know that
sucker
you are
punch
in
them.
touch with friends and family and that they know exactly where you are. You become less attractive as a victim. Always let strangers know that you have a destination and are expected at a particular time, too. If you've been buried alive in a standard coffin, stay calm. If you are alive, you haven't been buried that long. Also, the dirt above you hasn't set yet. Most coffins are not built to last once buried and as a result have weak siding. So here is what you do. Pull your shirt over your head. You don't want to be swallowing dirt. Position yourself so you are as sideways in the coffin as possible with hands and feet pushing on the long sides. Push. You should be able to blow out one of the walls. Start crawling up. Do not panic. You may not find a grip immediately. Keep going until you make it out.
Huh. Okay.
If someone gets stabbed,
That sounds
do not
plausible.
take the knife
Yeah.
out
As
as
far as I
possible.
can tell, it would be
If it
scary as
stays
hell
in,
though.
Oh my
it acts as a
God.
plug
So
to
we need
the
to tell Nate about that because I know Nate has expressed to me that one of his irrational fears, kind of like sharks being buried alive.
Oh my
Sharks
God.
do,
But
yeah.
I mean, that would be unbelievably terrifying, dude.
A little bit. Like
Oh my
something-
God.
Something to me says like if I just wake up that way, for some reason I just be like, well, fuck. Like, I don't know. It's like I would be like, okay, let's see if I can
Yeah.
figure this out because that's my only option at this
No
point.
thanks.
It's like it's less scary than being eaten by a shark for me for sure. It's just still not a great situation. It sounds like, but
There's a lot of terrifying shit.
but I just know I've heard of people escaping from it, but yeah, it would be pretty traumatizing.
The holing will reduce blood loss. Apply pressure around the wound as best as you can and call an ambulance.
That's something
Know
they
how
teach
to
you in
spot a
Scouts.
stroke.
If you're ever
An
stabbed with
easy way to
something and it's still
remember
in the
is
wound,
acronym
don't take it out.
FAST.
'Cause it can
Face.
actually be
Is one side of
plugging your
face
veins
droopy?
for you.
Can you fully smile? Arms. Can you hold your arms out straight? Speech. Are you unintentionally slurring your words? Time. Call an ambulance right away. Time is of the essence. If you're unsure about the movement of a tornado, put a straight object such as a tree or a street light in between you and the tornado. It'll make it way easier to see which way the tornado is moving. If the tornado appears to not be moving, it's coming right at you.
Ooh.
If you smell something close to
Shit.
fish or even urine, it's possible you may have an electrical fire. Electrical fires tend to smell like fish and, when exposed to high heat, urine. Or maybe your cat had a snack and decided to pee on the carpet. And if you smell rotten eggs, it's natural gas. Get out immediately and call 911.
Yeah, they put sulfur in natural gas because natural gas has usually,
Neutral smell.
odor,
It's
you
just,
know,
yeah.
so, like sulfur is something they add to natural gas lines so that you can smell if there is a gas line.
Yeah.
So that's why it smells like rotten eggs.
If you have to get out of a moving car, then put one foot down and take a step. Don't just jump out. This will reduce your speed immensely. Sure, you will fall over, but at a much reduced speed. A stuntman told me this. I had to leave a moving car that was going about 40 miles per hour when I was pregnant.
See, this is when I
had
start
a
going,
medium-sized purse and a pillow. The man driving the car
So if the car is moving really quickly and you put 1 foot down, that foot's just gonna go backwards so fast from you having the inertia of moving with the car. I feel like it's gonna break your foot. Like, but I don't know. Like,
yes, it's going to make you slow
Physics-wise.
down. Do you know why it's going to make you slow down? Because the same thing happens when you jump, when you run. You will slow down. You hit the fucking ground. You hit the ground and you roll, even if you don't want to, because you're jumping out of a car. There is no way to make this a good thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
well, I mean, stuntmen do jump out of cars and manage to do it safely most of the time. But so I don't know.
what are they
a
wearing?
Stuntman
you know?
told me this. It's like, so I'm like, I'd have to research that.
I don't know,
before I
man.
trusted that.
I'm
myself.
not rolling out of any cars going 40 mile an hour pregnant. I can say this today, take it to the bank. I will not be pregnant rolling out of a car at 40 miles an hour ever in my life.
Yeah.
had said he was going to kill us both if he couldn't have me and was going in and out of oncoming traffic. I grabbed my bag and pillow and held the pillow across my stomach and opened the door and thought if I go like a ragdoll except my arm holding my stomach and my other arm with my purse covered my face. But everything else I tried to relax. I stepped out and let myself fall and roll. It was amazing. I ended up with just a handful of bruises and scrapes and I was fine. And my daughter is 14 now. We made it.
She
What
got a
will kill
dent in her
you
head, but she
Australia?
all right.
The wildlife. What will kill you? Getting lost in the outback. If you're lost and out of fuel, stay with your vehicle. Move as little as possible during the
What won't kill you in Australia? The wildlife. Yes, that's why people keep dying to brown snakes in Australia, right? Yeah.
day and stay in the shade.
I mean, not to mention like the people who have died to like fucking all kinds of other shit.
Yeah, no, Africa
I know it's a low
and
chance,
Australia
but I know they have said like
terrify me about their wildlife.
like brown snakes are a problem in certain places in Australia because they come too close to people. Like so, there are more venomous snakes, like snakes that can kill you faster and easier with their bites, like the coastal. I think it's the coastal taipan. Like the taipans, technically, one of the taipans is the most venomous snake on Earth.
Really?
Yeah, but the brown snake is the one that kills all kinds of people in Australia
Because they ain't scared of
has
people?
more contact with people. So, yeah, it's not that they're not scared of people. Like most snakes are terrified of you. If you come up on them, they don't want you to get near them. But like the brown snake, the problem is that it comes too close to where people are interacting with the outdoors, like people's gardens and shit. You know, so that's. And it's a very venomous snake, so that's the problem is a lot of people get bit by those. Apparently.
Shitty.
Conserve water. Rip off wing mirrors to shine at any search planes. You can drink your urine approximately 1 to 3 times
Yeah, I have
before your
heard the
kidneys start to
outback's
pack it
not
in. This is
not a pleasant
absolute
place
last
to be
resort.
lost.
EMT
like you
here.
really have to worry
If
about
you're ever
exposure
choking
in
on
the
food in a
outback.
public venue, do not go to the restroom to avoid causing a scene. Almost every death I've seen from people choking are found unconscious in a bathroom stall because they were too polite to seek help.
Fucking really, dude? Hell no, man. Like the couple times I choked, I panicked and like stood up and like it was so I got choked once in a lifesaver when I was a little kid. Actually, I think in
Damn.
that time it was during church, and so it was like I kind of stood up in the pew and I was like, you know, my mom immediately realized something was wrong. And they were smacking me on the back, which actually doesn't really help.
Yeah.
And my pastor was like, "We got paramedics over here," because there were some paramedics actually visiting the church that day.
Praise God.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And like that's one thing is like, I don't know if I believe that like everything is predestined and shit, but that seemed like a really like good coincidence that they happened.
The
to be
Lord
there
was
that
a
day when they're
lifesaver
normally
that
not. Yeah,
day.
pretty much. And so they brought me to the lobby, and they met me in the lobby. And dude, like, you know, tried to squeeze me and it didn't work, so he just turned me upside down and shook me basically, like as like a little 3-year-old kid, and like the lifesaver like came just tumbling out. So. And then, luckily, we'd been scouts since then, and I was older, and my mom had actually listened, and whenever we learned our first aid stuff and learned the Heimlich maneuver, like the way they taught and everything, so I was eating hot dog at the table with my parents at home, and it fucking something happened, and it just like part of the weenie just slid down the back of my throat and like into my windpipe. And like, you know, I was like, I tried to swallow twice, realized that swallowing wasn't doing anything because it wasn't in my esophagus, and I panicked and stood up like real fast and was just like, my mom immediately realized what was happening and just got behind me, and like my dad tried to slap me on the back, and I was like, no, move, and like just squeezed me, and it went poof, and I was like, oh God, thank you. So
She's a miracle worker.
Pretty fucking scary, and I couldn't imagine discreetly walking to the bathroom, unable to goddamn breathe, and dying in the stall. Like, I don't get how anyone could not panic when they're choking and make a scene immediately.
You have never eaten ghost peppers, have you?
Huh? Ghost peppers? No.
Well, let me tell you, you will discreetly go to the bathroom and you will die.
Fair enough. Sounds completely different than choking.
I'm just playing with you.
If you've been carjacked and the carjacker tells you to just drive, take whatever chance you get to wreck. At minimum, you're getting emergency services involved, meaning it's more likely they'll be caught, and there's a chance you'll incapacitate or even kill the carjacker.
Or yourself.
Of course, there's also a chance that you might not survive, but if they're taking you to a second location, odds are you weren't going to come back anyway. If you're alone and start choking with nobody around to give you the Heimlich, you can give yourself the Heimlich by using the back of a chair, or similar objects like the sidearm of a couch or whatever. Forcefully throw your stomach over the back of the chair a few times, try to mimic the motion of the Heimlich, push in above the belly button, then up. Kind of like a J motion.
Yep.
If you fall into cold open water,
You
resist the
get
urge to
both
swim and
hands
try to
above the
float
belly
until the
button, and then you
onset
try
of
to go
panic
up,
subsides.
like, towards the rib
Once you have
cage.
your breathing under control, you can then
Like,
start to
stand up.
swim to safety. By doing this, you will not hyperventilate and avoid potentially drowning.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Safety. By
Fall into cold, open water, resist the urge to swim, and try to float.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so you're going to panic when you initially fall in, so they're like, just concentrate on floating and then start swimming once you're under control.
Mm-hmm. I guess it
Then
depends on
start
like
swimming.
how open the water is.
Well, it's because when it's very cold, like if they're talking like cold, like icy, like, yeah, you probably have like a limited time to
You got to get out of there.
properly orient yourself and get out of there before you're facing some big ass problems. So I can kind of see that.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of these things are just like super, super circumstantial. Like there's a lot of factors that play into what the right response is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I could see myself panicking pretty
Doing
fast
this,
if I
you
fell
will-
into like icy water.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh my god! Like I hate the cold and it's gonna feel awful. But I've heard other people say though it's like you almost don't notice how cold it is at that point because you just almost immediately start going numb from how
Yeah.
cold it is. So I don't know.
not hyperventilate and avoid potentially drowning. If your car is going underwater, an electronic roll-down button will work regardless of the water pressure outside the car, but a manual handle is much more difficult. You also won't be able to open the door. It's better to have something in the glove box, like an ice scraper, to break the glass with. Mythbusters did a whole thing on it.
Yeah, you gotta break
A friend
your
who
window
grew
if
up
your
in a
car's
rough
completely
neighborhood taught me
underwater a
this
lot of the
one.
times.
If you're on a bus and robbers get on, you have a chance of not having your stuff taken or being bothered at all if you pretend to be asleep. For all that it's scary for the passengers when one or two people with guns climb on a bus, it's also stressful as hell for the robbers. They have to keep their eyes on a lot of people at once to prevent anyone from calling the police, prevent the driver from signaling distress somehow, and prevent all passengers from reacting in dangerous ways. If you're asleep, that's one person less for a robber to manage, so they may not bother to wake you up and have another wild card to deal with, just to get your phone and wallet.
It's funny because like I always used to like fall asleep just randomly, like whenever I was hanging with my friends, like I'd almost like borderline narcoleptic. We watch movies
Yeah.
and just like fucking. No, they were joking like if something bad ever happened, I'd probably just pretend to be asleep to get out of it. You know, it was just like
Well, evidently that's a
apparently
viable
that's a legitimate
technique.
strategy. So
Viable
jokes on them. You
way
know?
to
If
Play
you're in
possum.
danger or in need of help, in a public place, it's almost always a bad idea to just yell help. It's more important to be specific. Pointing at someone and telling them to call 911 will be more effective. The bystander effect can be a real problem sometimes.
Damn.
Thanks for listening to Radio TTS.
That ain't no
Please
good.
be aware
kinda
that I
makes sense
cannot
there.
guarantee that all of these tips work.
Huh?
Better do some of your own research to double check them.
Yep.
Anyway, subscribe and activate the bell for more interesting videos like this one. And please share your life-saving knowledge in the comments below.
I'm glad he said the same thing that I was basically thinking before we started watching this, which is
Yeah.
take all this with a grain of salt. Do some research before you put any of it into
Yeah, we've
action,
been saying that
because
for
some
sure.
of this may not be accurate. It is shit from people on Reddit. You don't know who posted it. Some of these could have been posted by 8-year-olds sitting in their mom's basement that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Use your own brain.
Mhm.
A lot of times that will be your best ally.
Well, other than
Or
that,
your worst
pretty
enemy.
interesting. Like I would like to know for sure about a couple of these, like the icy water thing.
Yeah.
It's like, and definitely like I'm gonna be researching that about the polar bear because that just interests me.
You know, but it
It's like,
seems
is
like
that
it,
true?
it could be, you
Start
know,
dropping stuff because it seems like it makes sense. Like that seems believable.
that they would be like, he just shed his skin. What the fuck?
And
What
then,
is
like,
that?
I'm gonna look up what some actual stuntmen say about jumping out of cars too because I want to.
That's hard for me to believe, dude.
Let's figure that out right now because that was
Yeah.
the one that's just you really fucking is stepping out of a moving car safer than jumping.
This is just saying to roll.
Been kidnapped or if the car is going to crash and you can't stop. How to jump out. So improvise some padding if you can. You need your clothing, newspaper, stuffed animals, stuff it into your clothes. Any little bit of padding can go a long way towards...
Or a pregnant belly.
Right? I mean, that makes the pillow thing a little more believable if that's true, so... assess your speed. You need to make sure you can survive the fall. 30 to 35 miles per hour should be about the max speed for jumping. Yeah, so like if you're...
Telling you how to judge the speed if you can't see the speedometer.
Yeah, okay. So like you can count, like, so if it takes you about 120 seconds to travel 1 mile, you're going around 30 miles per hour. Okay. Find a way to slow down. If the car is traveling faster than 30 to 25, you need to find a way to slow the car down. Think of a way to distract the driver, such as pointing out something on the side of the road or making a very loud noise. Any small distraction may cause the driver to remove their foot from the gas pedal. Wait for a turn. Another way to jump at a slower speed is to wait for the car to turn. In order to turn, the driver will need to slow down quite a bit. Yeah, most turns I would say you can't take it over 30 miles per hour. So
yeah.
That would be a sweet spot to probably get the hell out of a moving one, is when they're turning. If you plan to jump from the right, wait until the car is turning left. If you plan to jump from the left, wait until it's turning right. Makes sense.
Yeah,
I mean, get run over by the car that you just jumped out of.
This is like, yeah, watch out for guardrails and shit like that.
Look for a soft place to
5
land.
seconds away.
Sense. Open the door completely. Jump away at an angle. And see, they're saying to jump.
Yeah.
When you jump from a moving car, you want to make sure you won't be run over by it. So backwards and away from the car. Try to propel yourself at a 45-degree angle from the rear of the vehicle. Landing properly. Tuck your body. As soon as you exit the vehicle, tuck your body into a tight ball. This is the safest way for you to land. Yeah, stepping out is bullshit, according to this. So, yeah. Don't step out and snap your leg in two. Like, just fucking roll out. Like,
roll out.
Up, wait till they're turning. Yeah.
Roll out.
Use some common sense there. Like, if you know anything about physics at all, if you're moving at, like, 40 miles an hour in a car and you put your leg down on the ground, your leg's going to go that way while you stay sitting where you're at. So your leg's going to go snap like a pencil. Like,
snap, crackle, pop. No thanks, dude. All that sounds like a really bad fucking day to me, and I'm not trying to be involved in any of that shit. But if worse comes to worse, do the best that you can, and just know that never...
Try not to die.
Yeah, never stop fighting is always the way that I go with it, because, you got to live by your own personal creed, and if some shit's going to happen to me, it's going to be at least a bad day a little bit for the other person doing it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
If I'm going down, I'm making your day shitty.
It is going to be so shitty in any possible way that I can make that happen.
All right. Well, we got one more to get to here in a minute, so I guess we're going to get off of this one. If you want to see the original channel and video, which we recommend, the link will be in the description below, as well as links to our Patreon, Discord, and ways to support us. We would appreciate any help. Hit that sub button if you haven't already, and ring the bell if you enjoyed this. Hit that like button. It helps us out a lot. And until next time, I guess we'll see you on the next video. I'm Nick.
I'm Chad.
Peace out.